Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Now with today's main headlines. UN Council and world nations condemn alarming rise in religious hatred. UN bodies motion on Quran burning. How did your country vote? Bahrain Human Rights Center reports widespread violation of Shia rights in Bahrain. Misbah al-Hussein holds marathon of Eid al-Ghadir cyclists in Baghdad. Assalamu alaikum dear viewers, this is Hussein Jawad and you're watching Shia Waves live from Imam Hussein TV 3 in London. In the wake of the recent alarming rise of religious hatred, dozens of nations attending a debate at the UN Human Rights Council condemned the lack of tolerance for the beliefs of others, which they said has led to the incitement of discrimination, hostility and violence. The debate was triggered by the June 28th burning of the Quran by a far-right extremist outside a mosque in Stockholm, Sweden. The hate-filled act, which coincided with the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha, was widely condemned by Islamic and other nations around the world. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, said these and the other incidents appear to have been manufactured to express contempt and inflame anger, to drive wedges between people and to provoke transforming differences of perspective into hatred and perhaps violence. Mr. Turk added that every state must prohibit the advocacy of hatred that constitutes incitement to violence, discrimination and hostility. Nazila Ghania, Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion or Belief on behalf of the Coordination Committee of Special Procedures, said that we stand against those who willfully exploit tensions or target individuals based on their religion or belief. In a recent session of the United Nations General Assembly, a motion addressing the burning of the Quran, the holy book of the Islam, was put forth. The motion aimed to tackle religious intolerance and the discretion of religious texts. Each country had the opportunity to cast its vote, expressing its stance on this critical matter. The United States and the United Kingdom, known for their commitment to human rights and freedom of speech, voted in favor of the motion. They emphasized the importance of the religious tolerance and condemned any act promoting hatred or inciting violence. France, well known for defending freedom of expression, abstained from voting. Countries deeply rooted in Islam, such as Saudi Arabia, voted in favor of the motion. They strongly condemned Quran burning and called for global solidarity in protecting religious texts. This motion signifies the UN's commitment to safeguarding religious rights and condemning acts of religious desecration universally, aiming to promote peace, harmony and mutual respect among diverse and cultural societies. The Bahrain Human Rights Center announced that 120 cases of human rights violations took place in different parts of Bahrain in June. The organization further stated that during the past month, many sectarian violations have been registered in Bahrain, which has led to the suffering of Shia citizens. More details in this following report.
The Bahrain Human Rights Center announced in a report that human rights violations in this country included violations such as security warnings, home invasions, and the establishment of checkpoints in more than 15 areas, especially El Daraz and El Sanabs. It also adds that Bahraini authorities have summoned 15 people and arrested 8 people in the past month. According to the report of this human rights organization, people in different regions of Bahrain have gathered and marched 40 times in solidarity with martyrs, political figures, and detainees. The Bahrain Human Rights Center stated that during the past month, many sectarian violations have been observed in Bahrain, leading to the suffering of Shia citizens. One of these violations occurred when Bahraini security authorities prevented Shias from performing the Friday congregational prayer on June the 8th. According to this human rights organization, El Dras town has seen restrictions on freedom of movement in the past years. The report adds that in June, a famous Shia shrine was closed by Al Khalifa authorities. Some local institutions and people of this country launched a media campaign to restore and reopen this shrine. The Bahrain Human Rights Center also pointed out the deteriorating situation of political prisoners in Bahrain, noting that Joe and Haus al-Jaf prisons are witnessing unfortunate events. This Human Rights Center has pointed to the continued suffering of prisoners in Joe prison and their strike for their freedom, demanding their basic rights. It cites the recent case of a 32-year-old Shia youth named Muhammad Abdullah Hassan Yaqub, who was sentenced to life imprisonment and was diagnosed with cancer in this prison, but passed away due to medical malpractice and negligence. The Bahrain Human Rights Center has called on the UN member states to put pressure on the Bahraini authorities and support the thousands of people in Bahrain who have been tortured and those who are being tortured to make coerced confessions in detention centers. Reporting for Shia Waves, Ali Al-Hadi.
Thank you, Ali Al-Hadi, for the report on the Bahrain Human Rights Watch. Now let's take a look at the main headlines. UN Council and world nations condemn alarming rise in religious hatred. UN bodies motion on Quran burning. How did your country vote? Bahrain Human Rights Watch Center reports widespread violation of Shia rights in Bahrain. Also tonight, tensions rise in Parachina as Shias are systematically targeted days before the month of Muharram. Imam Hussein Foundation for Relief and Development announced its intentions to hold a marathon for Eid al-Ghadir cyclists in Baghdad, the capital of Iraq. Accordingly, the institute published a notice and invited all young people who are interested in participating in this cycling marathon to sign up for the event and to attend the competition venue at the specified time and place. It should be noted that according to the plan, this cycling marathon will be held on Friday, July the 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the new Baghdad area, Al Masab Street. And now we continue with some short news. The European Union Statistics Office, Eurostat, announced on Tuesday, July the 11th, that as a result of the immigration, the population of the European Union increased for the first time in 3 years, going from 446.7 million to 448.4 million people in 2022. The Statistics Bureau has also considered the migration movement after the COVID-19 pandemic as another reason for the increase in population. Many European countries are facing an aging population due to low fertility rates and high life expectancy. Immigrant advocates say immigration is a key solution to this problem. The office of Libya's chief prosecutor said that 5 people were sentenced to life in prison after they were convicted of human trafficking over the deaths of 11 migrants and refugees who were on a dilapidated boat trying to cross the Mediterranean to Europe. The office of the General Prosecutor El-Sadiq El-Sur said in a statement that the court in the city of Beida also sentenced 9 other defendants to 15 years in prison, each on Monday, adding that another 24 suspects were jailed for a year. In recent years, Libya has become a major transit point for people fleeing conflict and poverty in the Middle East and Africa to seek a better life in Europe. The second annual Human Rights Film Festival, The Hague Women's Rights Edition, has highlighted women suffering in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the Tajik and Uyghur minorities. Shia women were among those crisis was tackled in the festival, as they continue to be subjected to oppression and persecution by ruling regimes and terrorist groups. Media outlets reported that films participating from all over the world shed light on the marginalization and suffering of women, especially in Afghanistan and Turkmenistan. They explained that the festival is organized by the Global Human Rights Defense, an NGO headquartered in The Hague. Two Muslim women from Morocco and Tunisia attended Ayatollah Shirazi World Foundation in Canada and announced their conversion to the righteous faith of Shia Islam. Hujjat al-Islam wal-Muslimin Sheikh Saleh Sibwe told Shia Waves agency. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi's representative in Canada added that this blissful event took place during a ceremony organized by the women's section of Ayatollah Shirazi World Foundation in Montreal on the occasion of Eid al-Ghadir. It is worth mentioning that these two young Muslim ladies embraced the Shia religion as the right path to God and expressed their testimony of faith in front of the present crowd. Spanish rescue forces, which had dispatched a plane and a ship to rescue the crew of a fishing boat carrying 200 refugees, spotted a boat of refugees off the Canary Islands. The Coast Guard said they rescued 86 refugees on board. However, the officials of a refugee aid organization, Walking Borders, announced that there is still no news of the fate of the other 3 boats that are missing with around 300 passengers. Officials have been unable to confirm whether the rescued boat is in fact one of the 3 missing. The fishing vessel and the other 2 boats disappeared near the Canary Islands 2 weeks ago, when they left Senegal for Spain, with no information of their whereabouts or health of their passengers. In Parachina, Pakistan, a series of targeted Shia attacks has resulted in the deaths of 7 individuals, left dozens injured. The victims belong to the Shia community, fueling a surge of anger and frustration among Shia leaders. The violence has once again brought attention to the ongoing systematic targeted attacks on Shias. The recent attacks have reignited the sectarian conflict, instilling fear and insecurity among the residents. The initial assault occurred during Friday prayers, as armed gunmen stormed a Shia mosque and opened fire indiscriminately on worshippers. This was followed by a series of bombings in Shia neighborhoods, causing widespread panic and chaos. Shia leaders across Pakistan have expressed their outrage and condemnation over the targeted attacks. They are demanding immediate action to bring the perpetrators to justice and to ensure the safety of the Shia population. The Shia Muslims in London have organised a protest for Parachina to collectively raise their voices and demand the Pakistani government to take immediate action and to save Parachina. The protest will be held outside Pakistan High Commission, Lowndes Square in London between 2 to 4 p.m. We have reached the end of today's news. Thank you very much for watching. Let's take a look at the main headlines of today's news. UN Council and world nations condemn alarming rise in religious hatred. UN bodies motion on Quran burning. How did your country vote? Bahrain Human Rights Center reports widespread violation of Shia rights in Bahrain. Imam Hussein holds marathon of Eid al-Ghadir. Cyclists in Baghdad. Tensions rise in Parachina as Shi'as are systematically targeted. You can view the latest news on our Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published in our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of the screen. Thank you very much for watching. We pray to Allah Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام عليك يا حجة الله في أرضه السلام عليك